Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. This is the first appearance of Secretary Gertz and Admiral Mertz before this subcommittee, so let me extend a special welcome and thanks for your decades of service to our nation, to all three of you. The Navy's fiscal year 2019 budget request includes 10 new construction ships, which is one more than the number requested last year. The 2019 request also details plans to build 11 additional ships over the next 5 years as compared to last year's request. The Navy battle fleet currently stands at 282 ships. In 2016, the Navy increased its minimum requirement to 355 ships. This subcommittee took that requirement seriously. In fact, every member of this subcommittee co-sponsored legislation that I introduced last year, the SHIPS Act, to make achieving 355 ships the official policy of the United States. The SHIPS Act was included in the FY18 National Defense Authorization Act. I want to give due credit to our colleagues at the other end of Capitol Hill. The members of the House subcommittee and committee were also entirely supportive. And this act was signed into law by President Donald Trump in December. A 355-ship fleet is not just a requirement, it is the law. We take it seriously, and we believe the Navy should take it seriously also. The Navy's long-awaited 30-year shipbuilding plan accompanied the FY19 budget request. In its current form, the shipbuilding plan does not reach the 355-ship requirement in the next 30 years. In 2048, the last year of the plan, the fleet would have just 335 ships. This is unacceptable, and my phone is talking to me somewhere, but I'm trying to turn it off. This is unacceptable. In this light, though, we have good news. I'm pleased that the Navy announced plans last week to extend the service lives of the entire class of Arleigh Burke class destroyers. I understand that this move will accelerate the time to reach 355 ships from the 2050s to the mid-2030s. This is good news, and we look forward to seeing destroyer life extensions included in future budgets and shipbuilding plans. The current shipbuilding plan, as I said, increases the fleet size to 326. After the first 5 years, however, according to the plan, we see a dip in fleet size, where it declines before modestly increasing in the 2030s and 2040s. As mentioned, the Navy's recently announced plan to extend the Burke-class destroyers should reduce or hopefully eliminate the dip and keep the fleet on an upward trajectory. More can be done, and this subcommittee wants to be a partner with you gentlemen to move this as quickly as possible. The shipbuilding plan contains 3 assumptions that are central to the speed at which the Navy can reach 355 ships. Let's explore each of these assumptions. Assumption A, limited ship service life extensions planned after the first 5 years. Beyond the 5 Los Angeles-class submarines and the Burke-class, the Navy should identify future candidates for service life extension. Amphibious ships and Nimitz-class aircraft carriers should be reviewed in detail. Assumption B, overall shipbuilding funding levels will decline significantly after 2035. Shipbuilding funding levels. The plan includes a sharp drop in projected shipbuilding funding from roughly $24 billion in 2035 to $16 billion in 2036, and remains below $20 billion per year until the mid-2040s. The drop in funding is related to the end of the Columbia-class procurement. However, the plan provides no justification for why the shipbuilding account should decline so significantly and never recover. How much faster could the Navy achieve the 355 ship requirement for our nation's security if shipbuilding funding remained at roughly $24 billion per year? Assumption C, unspecified supplemental funding for Columbia-class submarines. The shipbuilding plan discusses the general need for supplemental funding related to the Columbia class, but does not provide specific dollar amounts. In 2013, the Navy told Congress it needed about $4 billion per year in supplemental funding over 15 years, totaling $60 billion for Columbia. Absent supplemental funding, Navy officials further stated that Columbia's pressure on the shipbuilding account would cause the elimination of about 32 other ships from its 30-year shipbuilding plan. Congress needs clear and specific estimates of the supplemental funding needed to avoid drastic reductions to the rest of the shipbuilding portfolio. In addition to discussing A, B, and C of the shipbuilding plan and the above assumptions, the subcommittee would like to hear our witnesses' views on 4 other key issues. First, industrial base vitality. Reaching the Navy's 355 ship objective is not possible without the unique skills, capabilities, and capacities inherent to our new construction shipyards, repair facilities, and dedicated suppliers. The witnesses should describe the budget request's effects on the shipbuilding industrial base. In this regard, I was pleased to see the Navy recently released a request for proposal that would enable a block buy or combined procurement of 2 aircraft carriers. Second, best use of taxpayer resources. This subcommittee will continue to conduct oversight of shipbuilding programs to ensure the Navy is making the best use of taxpayer dollars. Congress expects Navy shipbuilding programs to deliver promised capability on time and on budget. Schedule delays and cost growth put additional strain on the legacy platforms that these new ships will replace. Third, building the future force. This subcommittee also has a duty to shape the future of our Navy. Notably, each of our surface combatant ships, cruisers, destroyers, and littoral combat ships will begin retiring within the next 20 years. Now is the time to determine the requirements for our future surface combatants and their associated munitions. Fourth, amphibious ships. I'm interested in the ways we can address the demand from our combatant commanders for amphibious ships. The combatant commanders need more than 50 amphibious ships on a day-to-day operational basis, but the current inventory includes only 32 amphibious ships. The witnesses should discuss the Navy's ability to efficiently procure the next amphibious assault ship, now called a Flight II LPD. Given the Flight II LPD is a close derivative of the Flight I LPD, I would like to know if the Navy believes Flight II LPDs are ready for so-called block buys or multi-year procurement. We're also interested in options to accelerate the next big deck amphibious ship, LHA-9. So there's a myriad of things to discuss. There's no time to waste. As the new National Defense Strategy states, we are engaged in a great power competition. This is serious business for the security of our nation and its citizens. If we do not take action, the consequences will be dire. Our maritime warfighting edge is eroding. If we fail, I fear General Dunford's assessment will come to pass that, quote, within 5 years we will lose our ability to project power, the basis for how we defend the homeland, advance U.S. interests, and meet our alliance commitments, unquote. So thank you, gentlemen, for being here. And I now turn to my good friend and ranking member, Senator Hirono.